Yo, Wagwan, hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make ambient melodies in FL Studio so you can make some banging ambient beats. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm Jay Carter from jcarterray.com, teaching you how to be better at music production, online business, and online marketing. And this is the #1 spot for musicians and creatives that don't want to be starving artists. So if that sounds like you, click that subscribe button, check out the rest of the content on the channel because you will love it. Now, let's get into the tutorial. Now, we'll be using Omnisphere in this because one of the big most important parts of this is actually just sound selection and mixing. So we're going to be looking at that a little bit, as well as how to actually create the melodies. Let me just quickly play this back. This is something that I just created really quickly in a previous video that I was making on how to create chord progressions, which you should definitely check out as well. But in that video I created this chord progression really quickly, and now I've just copied that chord progression to this Omnisphere instrument. Let me quickly show you the patch that I'm using, because this is the patch that we'll be using in this video. If you want to, you can take a screenshot of all the patches that I generally use in Omnisphere. These are the bells that I generally use because these are my favorited bells, but you know, there may be better ones out there, so you can definitely grab these, use these as a starting point, and then find, you know, other bells that you like or whatever. So yeah, we're using Winter Memories right about now. Let me quickly play this melody back so you can kind of hear it. So that's that. Very short loop. Something that's very important is that, you know, the reason why it sounds like this and why it sounds so mellow and ambient is because of the mixing. Because if I move this to, you know, no mixing whatsoever, this is what it sounds like. Not as ambient, is it? So in order to do that, basically I've got two EQs on there. So we just got normal FL Studio EQs. You don't have to use any special EQs or whatever. And we've just cut off the low end and we've cut off most of the high end. So we've got basically like a band pass here, band pass. And I believe I've just duplicated this. So yeah, I think this actually does take off a bit more of the high end, but I've just duplicated this, so we're definitely getting rid of that low end and that high end basically. And that's, you know, what we're getting over there. I do have a template, a FL Studio template that I use for all my beats that, you know, will get this. All these settings that you're seeing right here is in my template. Link is in the description. You can go and grab that, and you won't have to basically go through all of this yourself and create the right EQs and all that sort of stuff. You can just use the template, plug and play, and basically, you know, put things to route them to the right channels and whatnot, and you'll have your melodies sounding ambient and beautiful like how you want them to sound. So let's mute this for the moment. Let's go back to our FL keys, which is where I create all my melodies, create every single melody from scratch in FL keys. And in order to start creating a melody, we want to start with a chord progression. So that is what we will do. Let's actually let's cut this, man. Let's just get rid of it so that it's not bothering me. We're gonna start in E minor because I'm very versed in E minor. I know what notes are in E minor and whatnot. And then if we want to move to another key, I'll just transpose it to another key really easily by, you know, either shifting up or down. So let's start with, let's go 6. Let's go 6, 6, 4, 5, 1. And let's just create these chords. So in order to create chords, all you need to do is miss a note in the scale and then miss another note in the scale, and then there you go, you've created a triad chord. You could make this a little bit more complicated by missing another note and creating a 7th if that's what you want to do, which is basically a triad with an extra note on there. So this is you know, 7th chords. But I don't like the way this is sounding because the 3s don't sound very nice. So maybe I'll bring this up an octave and see how that, oh, that's way too high, way too high. But let's see what it sounds like. Way too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these up a little bit so that they're not hitting the 3s so much. That's a bit too high. Let's get rid of the 7th there. Get rid of the E. All right, so that's a good enough chord progression. We can move on from here. In order to do so and start, you know, adding some melodic elements to it, we can basically take the middle notes. This will be A, so we'd want to get, this would be a chord, so we get the C, B, D, F, so we get the D, B, D, G. I think that's a G chord, so we'll grab that, and then we'll press Shift, left click, press Control up, move that up an octave, and then we'll just move this over like that. And what we can do is we can either go down or up. So let's see what this sounds like. I don't really like the way that is moving, so maybe down. So there we go. We've created a melody really quickly, really easily, just by, you know, moving the middle note up, moving it over to like half the beat, and then just having an extra note into the 3rd bar and then into the 1st bar for a loop around. We don't want to add too many notes. Remember, this is an ambient melody. You want it to be ambient. You don't want it to have too many melodic elements here. You want to keep it really simple. So another thing we could do is let me copy this, because I might want to use this melody. Let's actually copy it, bring it down here. But I do want to show you a different example of how we can create this melody. Another way to create a melody is to just chop the chords or add little notes in between. So we can have a chop over here. Oh, that's gonna sound pretty good. So that's a pretty good melody as well, so we could use that as well. But let's mute that and we'll use the original melody that we originally, I believe we copied it over here. Yeah, so let's listen back to what it's sounding like in Omnisphere. because I just want to show you the full method of creating the melody, you know, chords, adding the melody, and then putting it in the right VST, then doing the other saucy elements that we need to do in order to get it sounding the way that we want it to sound. So this is how I'd go about doing it. Now let's listen back to it in Omnisphere and see what this is actually sounding like. Okay, that was a terrible melody, but you see that, you know, you can vibe over it or whatever. Okay, so this is pretty okay. In order to basically take this to the next level, first of all, what we could do is we could copy this over and add some variation, and you know, let's do that because we might as well spice it up a little bit. Okay, so why not? I like that. So let's bring it back. So there you go. We've added a little bit more melody, even though we didn't need to. We could have kept it super simple. We've added a little bit more. All right. So now, first of all, we could just copy this to, you know, a bunch of different layers, and you basically got a beat here. What I would do is maybe take out the melodies and just keep the chords and add a pad or whatnot, and you can manipulate that how you want to, and maybe keep the melodies, get rid of the chords, and add another instrument, maybe another pluck or something. But right about now, we're just going to use this instrument. I'm going to show you the method I'd use to get this to sounding as ambient and as beautiful as possible. Now, first of all, these top notes, I'd want to bring this down a little bit. So we bring it like over here. Because we don't want it to shine too much. Ooh. If you're wondering why I added this E right here, it's because I was thinking, you know, this is going down, and when this came back, it didn't really sound how I wanted it to. So I wanted to find a note that it would sound good going into, and the E would just work. So that's why we got the E there. Now, what I do is I press Control and A, and then I'd randomize it. So I press Alt R, and then we randomize the velocities by moving it down this way. So should bring it over there. And we could strum it, but since this is like a bell type thing and we're not really using keys, I don't really need to strum it, so I won't do that. And now let's play it back and hear what it sounds like now. Sounds pretty good. And now we want to pick the right key in it. We want to pick what key do I want it to be in. Remember, we're currently in E minor. So I just, in order to change it to another key, I just look at wherever we're hitting E, this is what key it's going to be. So right about now, this is E. If I move this either, you know, manually or by pressing shift and up, this note is going to be our key. So I want to move this to, where do we want to go? We're currently in the 4s, so maybe I'll just move it up a little bit to A minor. Don't really want A minor, to be honest. What about B? Yeah, that sounds better. Don't think this is low enough, so bring that down. And usually this type of stuff would overlap, so I'd bring that over there. Right, so we've got the melody basically done here. Now the next step is to bump it up an octave. And you might be wondering, why are you bumping this up an octave? Isn't it the perfect octave? Yes, it is the perfect octave that I actually want it to be in, but we are going to add a bit of sauce right about now. So what I'm going to do is we've bumped it up an octave. Let's quickly hear what it sounds like. It sounds beautiful, actually. And what I'm going to add is I'm going to add RC20. Now, if you don't have RC20, I suggest you get it, to be honest. I'll leave a link in the description. Go and get RC20, or go to jcarteray.com/RC20. I believe that link should work. But if you don't have RC20, you can get Isotope's vinyl, which is absolutely free. But RC20 is worth it. Let me just tell you that. And I am going to pick the VHS preset, and I'm going to bring the distort and digital down a little bit, bring the space up a little bit, and bring the decay down a little bit, and the magnetic down as well, and the noise down. And let's listen back to it and see what's going on. Not sure if I want a VHS one. Maybe I'll just do vinyl 2. Bring that down. Give it a little bit of digital, a little bit of space. All right, perfect. The next thing, you could add halftime depending on how many notes you've added to this melody, but because we've kept this pretty simple, we don't really need to touch halftime. Halftime will just, you know, will turn our melody into just chords, which is useful for like a verse melody, to be honest. So what I do first of all is we bounce this down. Okay, let's get the pattern into here. And we'll do this. I'd use control to do this, by the way, control and left click, and then we'll press control alt C, and this will allow us to consolidate our track, which will basically turn it into a WAV file. So I'll turn this into a WAV file. Very, very important step. This very, very important step. Make sure you do this because this is just going to make your beat sound even more ambient and even better. So once we get this, now we've got our melody. We'll put this on the right track again, which is track number 1. We'll turn off retro color, but we'll still have on our EQ because this more EQ is not going to hurt it because it's just going to be EQ in the same frequencies. Let's hear how loud this is. That's loud enough. We could move it up a little bit, but I don't know exactly how loud this is going to be in the end, because what we want to do is we want to pitch it down. But actually, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to make this unique, and then I'm going to pitch down this. And then we'll, sorry about that. Change this to crossfade. It's a pretty beautiful melody, to be honest. So as you can hear, that sounds super ambient and super beautiful because we pitched it up, we pitched it down, we've done, you know, all this sort of stuff to it to get that nice ambient rustic vibe basically. And with this, what I do here is we can now, you know, route this. I think it's already routed to track 1. We'd add halftime on it. If you haven't got halftime, buy halftime. It's like £10. It's worth it. Get it. Or you can use gross beat. I don't use gross beat because every time I use gross beat, it just messes up. Like it's just never on beat. It's just terrible. Halftime's always on beat. So what I do is I'd halftime it. Remember, this is the one that's already pitched up. It's already an octave higher than I want it to be. What halftime will do is it will make it, you know, half the speed, but that will also pitch it down. So it'll pitch it down to where we want it to be, but it will also just play the chords. It's not going to play the melodies that are on the off beats. It's only going to play half beats and full beats basically. So let's hear what it sounds like. So that is absolutely perfect for the verse, because we don't want to hear a bunch of melody in the verse, because, you know, that can, if you got too much melody, it can get really, really repetitive and annoying, and it won't let the chorus stand out as much as we want it to stand out. So basically, let's bounce this down, and then we can normalize it, bring it down. I wonder how loud this actually is though. Like, do I need to bring this down? Oh, we obviously need to turn off halftime over here. Then we just need to level this so that it's the same level as our main melody. We can name this verse. And then, you know, we're ready for drums basically. And because this video is getting a bit long, and because I kind of feel like I can just finish this up and turn this into a beat, I'm not going to turn this into a beat in this video, but I will do a follow-up video to this where I'll just continue and turn this into a beat. So let's quickly recap what we need to do. So first, we start off with the chords. We start off with the chords using FL keys, okay? Start off with chords using FL keys. We do a simple melody, super simple, not too many notes. We're not getting all over the gaff. We do it super simple. Then we can move it an octave up now, or we can copy this to our main instrument and then move it an octave up. Then we want to bounce it into audio, then pitch it down, yeah. But before we bounce it into audio, we do want to add RC20 or vinyl or whatever you're using to get that nice old-timey sound. If you don't use any of them, then just the pitching down will have your melodies sounding more ambient anyways, but I like to add RC20 because it just adds that extra oomph onto it. Then after you pitch it down, that melody's done, but what you can do is use the original melody and whatnot at the high pitch and add halftime in order to create your verse melody, so that you've got just the basic chords running in the verse, which will allow your chorus to stand out a whole lot more. So that's basically all you need to do, but when you've added the halftime, you need to then bounce it down again. I don't think I've repeated that, but yeah, that's what you need to do. And then Bob's your uncle, you're all done. Now I highly suggest you watch the next part of this video, but I've also got a gift for you for making it to the end of this video. I've got 10 free loops for you to use in your beats. Just go to jcarterray.com/free loops or click on the link in the description. And if you got any questions or any other tutorials that you'd like me to make, please leave those in the comment section down below. And I'm unsure if I asked you a question of the day in this video. Did I? Let me know in the comment section down below. If I didn't ask you a question of the day in this video, then question of the day is, what is your favorite Omnisphere preset? Because you know that's going to help me out a lot, it's going to help out a lot of other people, and it's going to create a very interesting conversation. So let me know your favorite Omnisphere preset, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll be finishing off this beat and you'll learn more about music production, online business and online marketing. Peace out, see you next time.